Here are a few major areas drugs are impacted. We, us, people, groups, communities either got funding held back or never got it in the first place. Money went to the war on drugs, basically. The absurd amount of money to attend to the medical needs caused by drug use, meaning drug abuse. Can we be rest assured that none of that money that's used on medical expenses comes from taxpayers' pockets? Disappearance from manpower, absenteeism, truancy. There could have been contributors to the workforce, the economy, employment numbers, to the sports world, athletes, students, potential actors and actresses, scientists, and technological advance. Where did they go? The number of victims of drugs has devastated the potential of where we could be. As a substrate, the cycle of dependency that has trapped the huge numbers of individuals that it has sucked potential contributors out of the workplace and into an economic world of their own, often leaving parameters and ceilings with little to no room for growth and upward movement, and few alternatives, where some turn to drugs again in their hope. Money that could be spent on education to teach ways to get out of the drug predicament, or alternatives to drug use when initially used for medical reasons. I'm talking about instead of moving into a dependency for opiates just a week or two after being released from the hospital for something medical, perhaps there's some other alternatives. The money that we could be using to open up those doors plausibly is going to fight the war on drugs. And sometimes in seemingly rudimentary ways that might only have a fraction of an ideal level of success. When doing a little background research and prep for this movie, it was found that Venezuela has had some trouble in it when it comes to drug trafficking, and they come down on it there. What this also points to is, and as the article was explaining, Venezuela is one of the stops along the way for drug traffickers, where drug traffickers are taking drugs from one place and then they're stopping through Venezuela en route to someplace else. Evident is that someplace else could very well be the United States. What this leads to is the United States is seen as a market, an ideal market for drugs for some reason. And one of those reasons is the perceived stability of the economy here. Basically, a drug dealer can make more money when selling drugs in the United States than in some other places. Now, There's a reason for that. There's a reason why the United States got to be the stable economy that it is, regardless of its ups and downs and challenges. One of those reasons are that there's some hard-working Americans, and a lot of them. They get up, they go to work every single day, especially during the work week. So we're talking about people that go to the auto factory early in the morning and they work until sometime in the evening. Firemen, teachers, everybody in the economic societal fabric here. And that's where this strong economy, or that's one of the major driving forces to result in this strong economy that we have. It wouldn't be here without it, essentially. It's not fair to them that the U.S. is now the strong economy where it's an attractive market because the value of the dollar is higher than some other places. It's being worked off of their backs. So now umpteen drug dealers want to come to the United States to sell drugs and destroy their kids, their nieces and nephews and what have you. So let's go back. The original point of departure with the drug crop in the United States. Had it not been for the economy, like we said, that whole scenario might not exist. That's where, again, hardworking Americans have the right to say, look, we need to point to drug traffickers and the whole cultivation process of using drugs for illicit activities as their business. Because had that not have been here, had the drug farms not have been here, when I'm talking about drug farms, I'm talking about people that set drug farms up for the explicit purpose of eventually selling drugs in the United States. Had those folks not have been here or on the earth, okay, then maybe those nieces and nephews that are being approached by drug dealers in their small towns, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So now it is hardworking American. Those drug farms are now their business too. Criminal justice costs. Imagine a pro football or basketball player signs a 1-year contract for $1 million. Multiply that figure by 1,000. That's $1 billion. There's a saying, you can't count to $1 billion in a lifetime. There might be 1,000 players in a major ball league that could possibly be on a playing field on any given sports weekend. The amount of things that can be done or could be done with $1 million. Then $1 billion. Just think of it for a moment. Schools being built, cars purchased, houses and mansions established. And times $1 billion by about 60. That's a rough estimate of how much money is spent in a year on drug-related criminal justice costs, according to the White House in recent years. When trying to grasp and envision $60 billion doing something and what it all did and where exactly all the money went, one might see it is as if drugs is getting a grip on America. The contrast illustration is America reaching down and getting a grip on drugs. World relations. Maintaining world relations. at the level that deals with humaneness and being forthright, and I guess a word to describe, to picture what I'm getting at, might be pure. Geographic borders might exist, let's say between countries and nations, but not all of the ones that we see today might have always been there. Reputation. The U.S. is holding on to a reputation as the wealthiest country in the world, the land of opportunity, land of the free, a democracy. Meanwhile, it has to contend with narcotic-related statistics that are, well, unfavorable. Any kind of narcotic statistics are going to be unfavorable. I'm talking in reference to, let's take for example, a certain number of arrests per every certain amount of seconds for drug possession. Such and such a proportion of a segment of society are in jail. The numbers of overdoses each year and sheer number of narcotic purchases averaged per minute. Other nations out there, including ones that have markedly more of the crops that big name narcotics are produced from, I'm talking about like cocaine, are saying that they have much less of a drug problem by their own people than the USA. Questions get asked when the U.S. has undergone numerous government shutdowns, as they call it, financial impasses we're talking about, in the past several decades. Weaknesses and failures is not something to acquiesce and say whatever is being done and not done to mitigate the drug problem is the epitome of economic brilliance. Especially when the U.S. suffered over 25 million cases of COVID-19 in year 2020. Chances are, strong chances, had the drug problem not been as severe, at least to strengthen the fight against coronavirus, could have been improved. There is room for improvement in just about every human and civilization process.